Hello and welcome to an exclusive Fireside chat session on recruitment strategies, efficiently managing time and cost. So, hiring not only takes time, but it also is one of the major overall expenses of an organization. And while spending money to hire new candidates is justified, making sure that the talent acquisition process is cost effective and time effective is one of the biggest responsibilities that recruiters, talent acquisition leaders, and CHROs have considered over the course of their career. So, what steps can actually recruiters or an organization overall can take when it comes to reducing the overall cost and sacrificing the entire time space, and how do they address the entire quality of the talent being hired in the organization? Folks, I'm Sukriti Aduvanshi, and I'm here in a conversation with two fantastic speakers who will reveal their mantra and strategies on how one can manage time and cost of the recruitment process. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to have Abhinav Mishra, Head Talent Acquisition from Icertis, and Anshuman Mukherjee, Talent Acquisition Lead from Tietoevry HR India. Hello, gentlemen. Thank you so much for being on board for this conversation, Anshuman and Abhinav.
Thank you so much, Sukriti. It's glad to be on this platform and your lovely audience with TechGig.
Anshuman, how about you? How do you feel about this conversation? What are we going to talk? How excited are you?
I'm very excited because you really get an opportunity to share things and something I'm so passionate about. So looking forward to it. Very excited.
Lovely. So without any further ado, I will get on with the questions, and I am very excited to know about your strategies and your vision of recruiting the right tech talent in your organizations. So let's take this thing forward. So tell me, how have you automated the entire recruitment process in your organization, and how can recruiters create a talent pipeline, which is very, very critical at this point in time, wherein you see candidates having multiple offers in their hands and last minute declines that you have observed in the past couple of years. So let's begin with you, Abhinav.
Sure, absolutely, and that's very important. You used a combination of a few words, Sukriti, like quality, time, and cost. Now, these are the three most important aspects in recruiting, for any organization. And when it comes to recruiter, it's very difficult to manage the balance between these three aspects: quality, time, and cost. But at the best, we try to manage at least two of these functions, two of these parameters, greatly. And when it comes to the efficiencies, I think automation plays a big role. Most of the recruiting that we do even at Icertis is tech recruiting, and bringing in those automations right from the entire recruiting funnel, where it starts from the outreach to screening, interviews, offer stages, and even onboarding. Automation plays a very crucial role. It reduces your time to act on all these different stages, and at the same time it saves you a lot of cost in your short-term and long-term future.
Thank you, Abhinav, for that. Anshuman, what about you?
So automation, what we say is the best way to automate is not to automate everything. So means you have to know where your efforts are. The focus should be always on minimizing the time and effort that team members protect as a human being. Automate those which is redundant, time consuming, mundane tasks performed by recruiters. So keeping these things in Tietoevry, the focus has been on entry level. This is the assessment that we use. Fresher hiring, we do a lot of automation, and also at the end part, that is usually the offer to onboarding process. So these are the places where we have done onboarding. So for the initial hiring, you may say campus hiring, we have created a one-stop solution. So means keeping in mind the experience of candidate, that is the fresher, our own hiring manager, and also the experience of recruiter, who are always ignored in any of the automation process. So keeping in those mind, we have automated many of the things. However, focus is always on the factors where you use more of human beings rather than thinking of so many newer technologies like AI and all. But I don't believe personally that you should automate everything. So that's how. So in Tieto, there's a lot of automation we have used.
That's absolutely right. And if I can build a little bit on top of it, Anshuman, I am a big supporter of creating those experiences, and those experiences cannot happen if two human beings are not talking. While these automations are good, but if you keep a candidate talking to machine on the other side, they never get to know you. They never
Yeah.
get to, use your organization. One of the interesting, automation that we brought in at the top of the funnel, Sukriti and Anshuman, is typically how do we match with the massive volume? India has become a massive volume for tech talent, a pretty large place for tech talent. And how do we make sure that all those tech talent resumes, and then, it's a very open opportunity, very big market right now. How do we make sure that all the huge volume of applications which are coming in, do we make sure that, everyone gets attention? At the same time, how do we manage those efficiencies of a recruiter where they do not get drowned into the volume and pool of recruiting? So we use some of the intelligent solutions on top of our applicant tracking system, where all these applicants, especially engineers, they come, they chat to a, they talk to a chatbot, where we try to assess that, and that's a very human kind of interaction which they do, and we try to take out all the things which is needed for them, which is actually matching with the job description, and try to find some similarity and assess them further. So that actually helps the recruiters save almost 30% of the time which they spend in pre-screening and looking at all the
Yep.
resumes.
So true.
Absolutely. And time and again, speakers have always, all the conversations that we had earlier, people have always spoken about this one factor that Abhinav, just mentioned, that how this entire correlation that is built between the manual decisions and automation, of course. And Abhinav, I couldn't agree more to this fact that you cannot rely upon machines, of course. That's a fact that we have accepted. But at the same time, the kind of
Yeah.
rush that everybody's putting into when it comes to automation, and not just recruitment, but anything that you name today, I think human intervention in decision making is the soul of anything that comes into picture. And the emotional quotient that we talk about when we talk about intelligence, the emotional intelligence that we address for business problems, and not just technically looking at certain data or
Yep.
analyzing it. I think that one factor is very important, and we cannot let go of, no matter how much automation or how technologically advanced we have become. So thank you so much for that. Moving on to the next one, Abhinav, you got to tell me that how do you shorten the process of entire recruitment funnel? Because automation, as we speak of, is one factor that actually helps you reduce the entire time frame and the process, the timeline that you normally tend to address. So how do you think you've shortened the entire recruitment process
So
in
that's
your
a great
organization?
question. Yeah, that's a great question, Sukriti. And the way, if I have to break down the entire recruiting funnel, there are typically five major stages which I see, which is the outreach, where you create the brand awareness, where you attract the candidates. The second stage is screening. Third being interview. Then you get into the hiring or the onboarding process, right? Offer/hire, and the fifth one being onboarding and retention of them. Now, it's very important to look at all of these aspects, and some of the steps that we took with all these stages where we were able to manage the efficiencies of recruiting is, for example, in outreach, we made sure that there exists a world-class recruitment marketing strategy, to highlight your brand story, because if you don't have the candidates applying to you, then you would end up taking more time. And Sukriti, I'm going to align it to the topic for today, which is time and cost, right? So if you don't have a great marketing strategy, a great brand story, to showcase to the candidate pool, you're going to end up taking more time in identifying those talent and having those talent reach out to you as well, right? And this is the first intersection which happens between the employer and the candidate. So you have to make sure that you put in your best game forward for them to come to you. Now, the second thing which we do is we use certain tools, we use certain automations, intelligent tools, I would say, in creating a very consistent job requirement. Because one of the observation which I have, and I think Anshuman would also agree with me, is when we post out a job description, uh, we get good amount of applications which are not relevant to the job. People end up applying to it anyway. I think that's just the demand and supply. Huge amount of supply, huge amount of demand. But if you create a very consistent job description, you use certain intelligence into it, you can actually attract the kind of talent that you really want in your company, right? Rather than having applications coming in from outside. And the third most important thing, where I think automation as well as AI play a little important role, is to keep looking at your database that you have created over a period of time. Now, I'm sure you in your audience we would have some recruiters as well, and applicant tracking system, as we call it, ATS, is typically used to manage those applications, but it can be intelligently used to also look at candidates who have interacted with your brand in the past. They have shown interest in the past, right? And if you devise a way to mine candidates from that pool, I think that helps you save a lot of cost and time. On the screening side, I'll touch upon very briefly. I don't want to take too much of time, but on the screening side, online skill assessment is one of the most important aspects. Tools and technologies. There are various online assessment tools. TechGig is one of those assessment tools which I really like. I've used it in the past as well, but that actually helps you filter down the candidates. I'm saying, everyone is deserving of a job, but then not everyone fits into, each shoe. So getting the right talent, finding the right talent using those skill assessment tools is of paramount importance. And not only that, along with those functional and assessing those functional competencies, there are those behavioral competency tools as well, which takes into account your analytics and cognitive ability. So having a great screening tool at the beginning also helps you in managing your efficiency of time and cost. The third important thing which I'll touch upon is your interview stage, where you cannot just keep on doing interviews. And I think some of the experiences I have heard from engineers is they keep on getting asked more or less similar question over 6 rounds of interviews, which also takes a lot of time, right? Now you have to be very innovative in this approach, and one of the programs which I run in the past, I used to call it Purple Squirrel. Now, Anshuman, to your point of that experience, you cannot automate everything. While you can bring in tools which can help you schedule interview faster, which can get your assessment done. What is also important is that we used to get those engineers who have applied for the same job into a room, used to give them a programming solution which they can solve using they as a team, right? So these are 5 engineers who have applied for the job, and they use we give them a solution to solve, and they solve it all together, right there on the spot. It actually gives a wonderful experience because they get to work in a team, so that you are able to assess their behavioral mindset, and at the same time you get to see something tangible coming out at the end of 3 hours or 4 hours of that entire gig. So those automations, if you want to come out of automation, you want to try creating some experiences. So these are majorly some of the things that we did, Sukriti, in our current company at Icertis, where we were able to achieve efficiency around cost and time.
Thanks, Abhinav. With that point that you mentioned of asking the same question to the candidate in all the 6 rounds, I was just recalled of that film Intern, wherein Robert De Niro is, actually asked the same question by all the rounds and all the HR folks that he faces, as in, when he goes out for that application as a senior intern. So that was very funny, in fact, and the kind of expression that he had at that moment, it was so obvious and evident that, you are kids and you're asking these questions to me like on a regular basis, one by one, every person asking the same question, right? I think it's not just about back in 2015, we are sitting in 2022 right now. And I think that customization and that tailored part of analysis is very important for each of the candidates that we are hiring, because of course the psyche that we talk about, the kind of analysis, every person has it differently, And we need to have those customization done in order to understand and in order to analyze it in a better manner. So we are here, we are talking about automation. I think we as TechGig also have evolved ourselves, and we ensure that, because the quality that you offer to the candidates may not, you may not hire them, but you would give the kind of impression that, this is the kind of question that this certain company asks in their interview. So that, I think, the IT industries, in which is very small, they might be working for you, tomorrow he might be working for Abhinav. So, Anshuman, that exchange that happens in there, I think it's like creating that entire customer experience. Anyways,
Yeah, and
so
then
Anshuman, I go to you now. You tell me. Yes, Abhinav, you were saying something.
And I just wanted to add one quick point to it, and I think we are trying to make these changes in our recruiting process. But the angle through which I look at it is, I am also a candidate at certain point of time in my life. So I have to look into those candidate expectations and aspirations. And people may forget what you say to them, but people will never forget how you treat them. So you have to create those experiences, right? And that's how organizations also are able to create some differentiation about themselves. And you give them a wonderful experience. When one of the problem statement which recruiter always try to solve is about their joining ratio, that also get addressed to a larger extent. People would really want to come and work with you if you give them a wonderful experience. So it's right from the tomb to womb experience that you need to cover when you look at these aspects.
True, Abhinav, true. You rightly quoted that for us. Thank you so much. Anshuman, moving on to you. You tell me that how do you measure?
Yep.
So the evaluation process that we've just spoken about, it still holds a very important role when it comes to finally hiring the candidate in maybe the final stages that we are talking about. How do you
Yep.
measure the results of the evaluation, both quality, quantity? How do you draw that comparison to come to conclusion that this is the right candidate?
It's a trade secret, but still, I will
We are
share.
here to
So,
share secrets.
so the approach is very simple. It's like trust but verify approach, in which is we use this assessment or your evaluation as an indicator. So it is not used to reject anybody. So it's always about finding what a person actually is. Like simple example is, if you're hiring a Java developer, it's not about Java as only as a technology. A person would be strong on back end, front end. There's also one part which is they could be good on with database. They could be good with UI. So when you do this evaluation, it should give me a full picture of a Java developer, not exactly as to which skill they are strong at. And that is what is happening in every organization, that they reject or select a person on what they want to hire for. However, as a techie, it's a software life cycle that they go through. So they will not be expert in everything. Like full stack is what I feel is a jargon. It's like hiring a Superman with a Java kind of skills. End of the day, what we actually is basic, simple, basic. Like, can you code? That's it. New technologies are there, like the cloud integration, the APIs and all are there. But the focus is, can you code? That's the only thing that is, this whole evaluation is being created to find how we can hire the people who are good in coding. So that's where the focus is. Definitely the measurements are there. What are those measurement at the end of the day for us is quality of hire. Uh, that's also very important. So we use this measurement at a very stretch level. Quality of hire is not about how good. It's again, as an organization, we don't look for 100% match. We also look for, if a person is 60% or even 50% as per the evaluation. Like every assessment has some kind of a ranking available, but if you see the kind of cutoff we use, it is very less compared to what the candidate may expect. But then that cutoffs are not to again reject them. So uh, it's being used differently as to how we use it in the back end. But then it's all about finding the person who's very strong with the basics, and that's how we use this evaluation metrics. As you said, quality and quantity, we have metrics at every level. It defines our engagement program. Like if as an example, like notice period. So a person with 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, these all have three different engagement strategies. So you cannot use one strategy for all the candidates. Similarly, with experienced Java professionals to a techie who's into IT services, those are the things where everywhere the metrics are there. The today, personal opinion, there's so much data available, and sometimes that creates a lot of issues. And how do you convert them to meaningful information is important. Again, the fact is, we treat candidate as something as if here's this the great resignation and all. I see it's a great opportunity for the candidates because this is their time. So instead of negativity, it should be seen as a more positive way. The problems are there of hiring because of the opportunities out there, but then how do you use your metric in a positive manner? That's the key. So those are few ways we are measuring these, keeping in fact that these metrics are means very simple. It's not rocket science that we are employing, but the values are we get somebody whom we can train on. We want to hire good developers. That's the major focus is.
Thank you, Anshuman, for sharing those secrets and mantras of evaluating and finally, the decision-making secret that you've just revealed in this conversation. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so we spoke of all the recruitment processes, the work that we do when it comes to shortening the entire timeline and the recruitment funnel. We talk about the analysis, the evaluation that we do, both quality, quantity. Now, tell me, how about having developer profiles seeded in exclusively for you according to your fitment that you're looking for? So, for example, Anshuman just mentioned that if you want to hire a full stack developer with JavaScript, of course. So let's just say that if I give you maybe 100 profiles, which actually gives you a good preview, a good look of how competent the candidate is, and that too with credible sources of maybe skilling or maybe a good participation of a hackathon coding competition, or maybe you can just have a skills score altogether, which is of course not manual. We are talking about automation here, which is not intervened by a human mind and is just automatically generated basis the information that you are seeding into. How about those profiles? What would be your idea? Would you accept, because you are the decision makers of your organization? How does this entire idea sound to you? So I'll go to Anshuman this time first. How do you think this should work for you?
For me, it's an amazing experience with. It's like a holy grail. There are so many to achieve. Uh, 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 and, uh, solution means if you providers see the whole recruitment resources has been created to us hiring manager. Finally, that is
Anshuman, we're losing your voice in
interview
between. Can you please
process.
check your
We
internet?
should hire this person. If we get this from the starting time of people, it reduces altogether. After time to
Anshuman, can you hear me?
so
We're
it's the
losing
days
your
of it's
voice.
an amazing thing to do. I've been very fortunate where these products are being built. So in this AI, chatbot, machine learning, video powering, all have been can you hear me?
We can only hear your voice is still breaking, Anshuman.
I think it's a
Maybe you can try re-logging in. Meanwhile, I'll speak with Abhinav and I'll know his idea of this entire thing that I've
thing.
just shared.
Yeah.
I would jump into this, Sukriti. If I get to see a set of pre-qualified candidate who fit into the a particular job description, skill assessed, I would really jump into it. Excuse me. But at the same time, Sukriti, most of these progressive companies, when they hire engineers, what they would actually try to look for is, of course, skill. And Anshuman was touching upon that point that you know people want to hire back-end engineer, they want to hire front-end engineer, and full stack engineers. But what's actually common among all these engineers is problem solvers. Now these coding questions, if I see, most of these coding questions, you go to a lot of assessment platforms are there where you can actually get these questions, and I've seen candidates mugging that up as well, data structures questions, algorithms. But what actually helps is, along with those pre-assessed candidates, if we get to also see their problem solving skills, on maybe a coding question or a basic business problem, I think I would really jump onto it. I would definitely take them on a heartbeat, because they have done so much amount of homework. They are very good in problem solving, and I would save a lot of time in your cost and effort, which is actually the call out for today's session. That, how do I save time? And I think this is one of the best way of saving your time and effort and cost, if you get to see those pre-qualified candidates who are interested in your brand, and at the same time they beat the market to other candidates. They're in that 99th percentile of those talent pool which we would like to attract.
So clearly, my objective of having this conversation is fulfilled when I hear what exactly I wanted to hear from both of you. And I'm sure, jokes apart, but I think that's something that we, TechGig as a brand, we've tried to evolve this for recruiters, because I know, it's a very difficult time for recruiters, pulling out and sourcing the candidates and then filtering out, from the masses. So I think we are trying to lower your burden when it comes to just picking up profiles, just scrutinize. So, when you do this, the entire primary level of research is cleared off. You just have to look at them, meeting your needs, you pick them up, you call them for the interview. So, in between, you tend to minimize so many processes of screening, and then, looking at them again, and then just thinking of them. When you have the entire skill score of a candidate, and that too of the recent past, I think that validates also, right? And with TechGig, I'm sure we keep on doing hackathons, coding competitions. One of our events is just about to come on July 29th. We are hosting the grand finale of Code Gladiators, of course. So when we keep on evolving with the processes and with the kind of innovation in the market, this is also one of them, and I am certain that my team will definitely get back to you, and that I know that you will be interested to have anything of these sorts when it comes to having developer profiles, which is pre-screened, of course. So Anshuman, we missed a part of what you were actually sharing with us. Please go ahead and enlighten us.
Yeah. So what I was saying, like, as you said, if we get this, it would make everybody's life very easy, because there's so much of time we are taking in just doing the whole process, right? As I said, like, I've seen solution, but we are still waiting for a final product. There are so many experiments which are happening in the industry. However, if this comes in, we'll be excited. We'll be happy to use it, because it saves your panel time, who are panels who are usually billable panels who are working on a project, and we use them for interview. In past, we have seen the experience, like usually a panel spends 45 minutes to 1 hour on interview. If we can bring such solutions, they take 6 minutes or 7 minutes to take a decision. So it saves a lot of time. So looking forward to such a solution. If that brings in, I'll be the very happy recruiter to have such solution. So
And then not only
Wonderful.
screening,
Anshuman, definitely, we are trying to work this out for all the recruiters, and this is exactly what my conversation drives through, and how I tend to pick up things which are actually, which you as recruiters or maybe tech leaders are looking at. Your requirement is very important for us, because I think that's what exactly is innovating the entire market and the talent demand as well. So
Yep.
working upon that, our team will definitely get back to you. I had an awesome time, conversating with both of you. Thank you so much for sharing your strategies and your mantras of defining and redefining and adjusting the time and cost when it comes to the entire recruitment process. A pleasure speaking with both of you, Abhinav and Anshuman. May I please have your closing remarks? Why don't you go ahead, and Anshuman?
Thank you for this opportunity, because as I said, like sometimes you don't get a forum to openly share things. Like there are certain things which we keep it to represent our organization. We don't share, but this is where we're trying to find a solution. So thank again for this opportunity, and great to connect with Abhinav through this forum. So thank you, Sukriti.
Thank you so much, Anshuman. Abhinav.
Sure, no, likewise, Sukriti and Anshuman, great to connect on this forum. And I think, recruiting is one field, which is evolving at a much slower pace compared to the other fields. Engineering has evolved. Every 6 months, you get to see another programming language coming in. But then the last revolution which happened in recruiting was 17 years ago when LinkedIn was formed, right? So, these forum actually help you think more on, what could be done. To help recruiters solve problems at their end, and at the same time help candidates achieve what they really want to do. Everyone is looking for job, everyone is offering job, but then how do you connect those frequencies together, bring in the right person to the right company? Is a problem that we would all keep solving all of our lives. But thank you for this forum, Sukriti. This really helps. And Anshuman, wonderful speaking with you on this fireside chat.
Thank you so much, Abhinav. I personally enjoyed this conversation a lot, and my objective of doing the entire analysis of what you as recruiters are looking at is definitely fulfilled. So thank you for being a part of this conversation, and folks who are watching us, thank you so much for joining us and listening to our speakers as well as the conversation today. I will be back with another fireside chat and a lot more events very soon. Till then, stay tuned to TechGig for all the latest tech updates. This is me signing off. Thank you so much, everyone. Please stay safe.
Thank you. Bye bye.